In another video, we've looked at FreshMvvm, a little introduction. Now it's time to get the core concept of navigation. So let's go check out how to do that. Now, before I tell you all the nitty-gritty details, let's have a quick look at the end result. So here we see a very simple page with two buttons, and I can say go to page. It will navigate to the second page, which is actually, I'm going to navigate to this from ViewModel to ViewModel, because that is a really cool thing about FreshMvvm. We can really have that separation. We can say, hey, I want to show this ViewModel, and it will automatically, by convention, figure out which page it needs to show then. That's actually a good thing. I'm saying views and pages already. Throughout this video, I'm going to mix up the views and the pages, but I mean the same thing. So you can use either view or view models, the convention, or page models. It all does the same thing, but I mixed them up for some reason. And the other button that we have here is show a modal page. So it comes up popping from this. It's a modal one, so we don't have that back button, and we have to provide this close button for the user to actually go back down again. And that's what we're going to see in this video. So let's start implementing. Now here we are in Visual Studio 2019. On the left, you can see the XAML page that is on the right running on the iOS simulator. Now normally I'm going to do something very unexpected. I would update the title right here, but I'm not going to, and you'll see in a little bit why that is. So first, actually, let's stop running this, and I'm going to install the FreshMvvm package. So I'm going to click on the shared project and right click and say manage NuGet packages, because we only need to install this on the shared project. So I'm going to say FreshMvvm here. It's going to find version 401. That's the latest one at the time of recording. So let's just add that. It's going to add that to our shared project, and then we have everything to start implementing this FreshMvvm goodness. Now, if you haven't watched that already, please go check out the introduction video for FreshMvvm, where I go over a little bit what it is, what it can do for you. I highly recommend you watching it if you haven't done so already, because here I'm just going to dive straight in, and I'm going to go to talk about navigating with FreshMvvm. Basic navigation, there is a lot else that you can do. So let me know down in the comments if you want to see more about this, if you want to learn more about this. But for now, I'm just going to dive straight in. So one of the things we saw in the earlier video is that FreshMvvm will automatically link up the views and the view models, or the page and the page models. You can use both basically. So let me just add a new folder right here. And this is going to be pages. And I'm going to create another one, which is going to be page models. So again, I like to use page and page models, but it can be view and view models as well. And I'm going to move the main page to the pages folder. There we go. And whenever I do, you also have to make sure that it's in the right namespace. So you want to here say dot pages. Add that, and of course we also need to do that in our code behind of the main page right here. So dot pages, there we go. And now we got this, but of course we still need a page model to back this. So we're also going to create a new page model. Here we're going to create a new class, and I'm going to say what is it, main page model. So it has to have the same name, main page, and then model behind it, and it will know that these are a pair. This is the view and the view model that belong to each other. So it's automatically going to wire up the binding context. That is what this does. Now, what you need to do for the page model is you need to inherit from the fresh base page model. It doesn't know it right now, but let IntelliSense add the right using. So using FreshMvvm here at the top, and it will know that automatically. We need this because it gives you a couple of the core methods that you have to use for navigation and all kind of other good stuff. So we need to inherit from that base page. So now we have that. First, before I forget, let's go into the app XAML CS. So go into the code behind file for the app XAML. And here, this is how you typically, do the new main page. But what we're going to do now is first at the top here, also add using FreshMvvm, so IntelliSense can help us. And what I'm going to do now is say var navigation page is new fresh navigation container. There we go. So that is something, or is it the navigation container? Is that the right one? Yes, and that takes a page. Okay. So there is a couple of built-in things that you can use in FreshMvvm. One is the navigation container, which is a kind of simple navigation page, right? Where you have the bar at the top and you have the back button whenever you push new pages on the stack, or you have the flyout page, which is still called the master detail page in FreshMvvm. The other one is the tabbed page. So you can have tabs at the bottom, and each tab will then have its own page. I'm going to go over the navigation container to keep things simple. There is on the repository of FreshMvvm, there is samples for the other stuff as well, so go check that out. The link should be down in the video description below. Or, if there's something that you can't figure out and you want to learn, please let me know in the comments and I'll be making another video. So what we want to do here is we're wrapping this in a navigation container. If you have been working with Xamarin.Forms before, then you might know this already. Whenever you want to do navigation, you have to wrap it into a navigation page as well, right? So that's no different with FreshMvvm. So let's get our page. Here we go. And I'm going to say fresh page model resolve. There we go. And here we're going to resolve the page model. This you want to do because this wires up the binding context. This wires up your dependency injection, which is going to be another video. So this gives you a couple of things, and that's why you shouldn't say new main page, because then you do not get all that goodness that FreshMvvm will give you. So here we want to say then main page model. There we go. It doesn't know that because it has the right using FreshMvvm navigation management page models. There we go. It adds that to the top, and now it's going to resolve the page that belongs to this page model. So navigation page container, I can now say I can wrap this page there, and then of course our main page we're going to set to this navigation page. So now we will end up with a navigation page that will show our main page as the first page. It's a little bit different than from Xamarin.Forms, but it's kind of like you end up with the same thing, only now it wires up your binding context and your dependency injection and that kind of stuff. And this allows us to do that view model to view model navigation. So your views do not need any code to do the navigation, and whenever you want to swap out a view, you can very easily do that without rewriting your code. So that is pretty cool. Now let's see how we can do that. So we are going to create first a new page model and a new page. So in my page model, I'm going to right click, say new class, and I'm going to say first page model. Let's just name it something like that. Again, this needs to inherit from the fresh page space page model. There we go. Let's add the using manually this time, using FreshMvvm here at the top. So this is all good to go. And then we need a page, of course. So I'm going to go to my pages folder. I'm going to right click, add new file. There we go. And now we want to select the forms right here. And we want to click a content page. Of course, it can be something else if that's what you need. But I'm going to go with a simple content page, and I'm going to name that first page, because that's how it knows that it belongs to each other, right? It has to have that same naming. So first page, create new, there we go. It creates it in the right namespace automatically because of the folder. So that is great. And now it automatically wires up that page model. So if I here create a new property, which you can do with the prop snippet. So if you start typing prop and you press tab, the tab key, it will automatically generate this code for you. And let's just make this a string, first page message. There we go. And I'm just going to assign this something simple. So what could it be? What could it be? Maybe something like, oh, have you subscribed to my channel yet? Right? That's something important. There we go. So that should be there. And this is just to show you how it wires up automatically the page model. So I don't need to go into that page and say binding context is new first page model. I don't need to do any of that. The only thing I need to do in my example here, of course, is I'm going to remove this content, which is something that you could use, but I like not to do it. And I'm going to say here label text is, and I'm going to say binding first page message. And this should show up automatically with the message that I have written in there. If I get the syntax right here, so add that angle bracket there, or the curly bracket, sorry. And this should show up my label through the binding. Now, if you don't know about data binding, again, I want to make videos on that. There's already a playlist that should pop up on your screen right now that will learn you a little bit more about it. But this is how you do data binding. It's just that easy, a little bit of magic that's going on here, but this is it. Now for our main page, we want to, of course, trigger that actual navigation right now. So let me remove actually the frame as well, because now we have this navigation page. We will get a top bar automatically, and that will kind of make it look funny here. So I'm going to remove this frame right here, and I'm just going to put a button in here with a text, go to page, and normally I do the clicked handler. So clicked handler will generate an event in the code behind of this page. We don't want to do that. We want to have a command, and a command is also something that we can data bind, so we can loosely couple now the page from the view model or the page model. And if you swap out the page, then you just have to wire up that same property and it will still work. So so it doesn't, you don't need to change any code in Vue. It doesn't know anything about it. That is how it works. So here we're going to say binding go to page command. There we go, and that is it. Now all that we need to do is go to our main page model, and again, well, let's just write it out fully this time. Public command, actually, go to page command. There we go. Get set, and I need to add the right using here, using Xamarin.Forms for the command. There we go. And in our constructor, we can then say go to page command is new command, and I can write here inline kind of what I want to do. You can wrap it in a separate method as well. That's all up to you, but I'm going to use this lambda thing right here. And because we now inherit from Fresh base page model, I get the core methods for free. And with the core method, you can do all kinds of things. You can display action sheet, display alert. So that's also built in. You don't need to do anything special for that. Or we can say pop modal navigation service, pop page model, pop to root. So then it pops all the pages out there and it goes back to the root. So there's all this stuff here to switch things in the navigation stack. So there's a lot of stuff that you can actually do here. But what we want to do now for this simple introduction is say push page model. So instead of going to a page, we're going to a page model, because you know your page model should not know about views, right? So what we can say here, push page model, we're going to say first page model. There we go. And basically this is all that you need to do. Now it's going to find the page model, and the page model, because of the name, because it also named first page, knows which page it belongs to, and it will show that page, wire up the binding context, and boom, you're done. So let's see if that actually checks out. I think I got all the things in place. So let's just run. Here we go, our app is building, should be coming up any minute now. There we go. And we should see a button in a navigation page. Now the navigation page is not styled. Let me tell you something about that real quickly after we see this little sample. So here we go to page, and whenever we click that, it navigates to the page and it shows you the message, have you subscribed to my channel yet, right? So this wired up automatically, you didn't need to do anything. You have that back button, you can go back and forth. So you can create the navigation like this, which is pretty cool, I think. So styling of the navigation page. Now let's go back to our app XAML.cs, because this navigation page, navigation container, basically gives you a navigation page. So what is done here in this framework is we can actually style this thing. So we can say navigation page dot what is it, the bar background color. That's the same properties as Xamarin.Forms navigation page. So we can say bar background color is, I don't know what that color was that we get from the template, but from hex, or let's just make it blue. Let's just make it blue for now. It's bluish, right? Then we probably also want to say navigation page dot, what is it, bar text color is color.white, so that doesn't look not so great as well if we do it on black. And if you want to set the titles, you basically want to have the titles on the pages that you have in there. So we can go to our what is it, main page right here, and on our content page we can say here title is FreshMvvm navigation sample. There we go. And on our first page, we can then say, oh, see, it actually updates with hot reload, XAML hot reload. So for the XAML pages, it still updates automatically. That's pretty cool. And here we can say title is our first page, right? So I don't know if this updates. Yeah, it updates as well. So that's cool. So now we have these things. Of course, you can actually also set this through data binding. So, you know, if you wire up some kind of base view model of your own, you can get the title in there, and you can wire that up through data binding as well. Now let me quickly stop and restart that, and you can see that the bar will also get a right color. There is still another way to do that. Of course, as always, there's multiple ways to do things. So again, if you go here into your content page, you can say navigation page dot, navigation page dot, and you can see a couple of these properties here as well. You can even say has navigation bar, or of course, you know, you can style this in some kind of base page that you inherit all your pages from, so you can have that consistent look throughout your whole application. Go to page, see now everything is nice and blue. So that works. Now, one thing that you can still do, you can also, I think, combine like the different things. So you can also push in here a tabbed container so that you have tab pages as well, together with like the navigation page. So there's all kinds of more advanced scenarios. One thing that we of course want to know as well is like, how do we do the modal pages? So if we go to our main page model, here we go. Let me actually just copy this one, and I'm going to say go to page modal command. Let me just copy this thing right here and do this modal, because, you know, it's very easy to influence this behavior with the push page model. And if we can then look here at what the overrides are, you can see that you can also influence, like, is it animated, yes or no? But we also have like object data, so we can supply data that it can actually use inside of that view model. You can push down a piece of data, like think of when you have an app that shows first a list of users, and then you tap one and you want to drill down to the details of that user. You can push the user details in there and use that in your next page, for example. And FreshMvvm has also a cool thing where you can, whenever you pop a page, you can also provide that data back to the page model that is then coming back up. So you can push data back. There's a video coming on that, but if you want to see more about that, please let me know in the comments so I can prioritize it correctly. But the real thing is that we want to have here is the modal. So modal false, yes or no. And we can say, so we have to provide something for the data in this overload. So let's set it to null and do the modal true. And now, of course, we need to also in our first page, because I'm reusing that, we probably want to have a button to actually close the page as well. It's going to have a text, so let's say close page, and this is only going to work if it is coming from a modal page, but you know, then we might want to not reuse this page, or we want to push a little bit of things in here to see. I think you can actually ask the page like, hey, am I open modally or not? So you can hide or show things depending on that. And here we're going to say binding close page command. There we go. And then in our, of course, not the first page backing code, but in our first page model, we now go here and we create a new command, public command. It also doesn't know this, so let's add using Xamarin.Forms here at the top, using command, close page command, get set, and then in the constructor, we are going to say close page command is new command. And I'm going to create a lambda again, and I can say core methods, because again, I inherited this from fresh base page model, core methods. And now I want to say pop page model, page model modal. And here we then have to specify again, like if it's a modal case, yes or no. And I think here there might be a bug sometimes, because you have this overload with object data. So whenever you do modal true, it might pick up that overload and think that you're supplying an object to actually pass back to the previous page model. So just to be on the safe side, make sure that you do null and then say modal true. Or you can use this kind of syntax where you say, hey, I want to specifically set this thing, this modal parameter, and I want to set that to true. That should work as well. So that is something to be aware of. Now, okay, so modal true, whenever we do that, so let's run this last time, see if this works, and then you've actually learned the basics of navigation in FreshMvvm, which is pretty nice, I think. Here we go to page, okay, close page Close page doesn't work. I didn't add the actual button for wiring up our command right here. So let's see if we can do that with XAML hot reload. Main page, I need to add a new button. There we go. Go to page modal and go to page modal command. Now I'm sure it will show up. I'm not sure if it wires up the actual command here. Let's see. Oh, it actually does. That's cool. So it now shows modal. It seems to lose a little bit of the styling right here. So that is something that you need to fix. Go to page modal, and if you then click the close page here, you can see it does that pop thing and it goes back down. So that is how you do basic navigation in FreshMvvm. There we go. Now you know how to work with FreshMvvm navigation. I hope you got a grasp of the first concepts of navigation. So there's a couple of links down in the video description to help you with the data binding, the introduction to FreshMvvm. I suggest that you watch all of them. But if you still have questions afterwards, please let me know in the comments so I can base my new videos on that, or I can just help you out down there, or join maybe the Discord server that I got going on so you can ask questions to me and other people that are in there who are very willing to help out. So that is really, really cool. Thank you again for watching another one of my videos. Please click that like button down there, and while you're down there, maybe check out if that subscribe button is already lit up, if you ding that little bell so that you will be notified of new content automatically. Other than that, I'll be seeing you for my next video. Keep coding.